Level 1, the origin. You grow up in a country where silence is a skill. You learn it early. At school, you sit straight, you answer fast. You never ask the wrong question twice. The winter air bites through cracked classroom windows. Chalk dust hangs above the blackboard. Your fingers are stiff. Still, you solve the equations before anyone else. Rows of numbers calm you. Patterns make sense. People do not. The teachers notice. That is the first dangerous thing. At 13, you are no longer just another hungry boy in a gray uniform. You are useful. You stay late after lessons, not for poetry, not for history, for mathematics, for logic, for the kind of problems that feel less like schoolwork and more like locked doors. Prime numbers, probability, sequences that stretch for pages, you finish them in minutes. A man you have never seen before begins standing at the back of the room. He never smiles. Dark coat, clean shoes, a notebook always in his hand. He watches how long you take to answer. He watches whether you look nervous. He watches whether you look proud. You learn to look like neither. At home, your mother divides a small bowl of corn into 4 careful portions. Your father eats the least. No one mentions it. The radio speaks. The portraits watch. Outside, the power dies again. Inside the darkness, you do arithmetic in your head to stay warm. How many days of rice are left? How many months until examinations? How many mistakes a family can survive? Then one morning, your name is called with 6 others. You are told it is an honor, a transfer, a better school, a chance to serve. No one says no. No one ever says no. Your mother fixes your collar with trembling fingers. Your father tells you to work harder than everyone, not because he is proud, because he is afraid. So are you. But fear is common. Selection is rare. And before sunrise the next day, you are on a bus leaving the only life you have ever known. You think this is the beginning of success. It is not. It is the beginning of ownership, and soon they will decide what your mind belongs to. Level 2, the recruitment. The new school does not look special. That is how special places often work. Concrete walls, faded paint, guards at every gate, barbed wire where trees should be. Inside, everything changes. The students here are faster, sharper, quieter. No one wastes words. You rise at 5:30. You make your bed so tight a coin could bounce on it. You march to breakfast. Thin soup, cabbage, rice when the week is good. Then 12 hours of study. Mathematics first, then physics, then languages. Not many. Only the useful ones. English phrases, technical terms, keyboard layouts, error messages, operating systems, network diagrams. By 16, you can read foreign code better than foreign books. That is the point. The instructors begin calling you in after dark. The real lessons happen there. No banners, no speeches, just fluorescent lights and old machines humming in narrow rooms. You are taught how systems trust the wrong things, how people click what they should fear, how a password is often weaker than a hungry government's patience. They never call it theft. They call it work. They never call it deception. They call it access. Each week, another layer disappears. First, you are a student, then a candidate, then a tool being sharpened. You are told the enemies surround your country. You are told keyboards can strike farther than artillery. You are told a line of code can feed a missile program, expose a rival, silence a critic, or pull millions from a bank account without a single shot fired. North Korean cyber operations have repeatedly been tied by governments and investigators to both espionage and revenue generation. You listen, you nod, you type. One night, 3 officers enter the lab. Military posture, civilian jackets, no introductions, a sheet of paper is set in front of you. On it are 10 tasks. Break this login. Trace this route. Rewrite this script. Spoof this sender. You have 90 minutes. You finish in 68. No one congratulates you. One officer only asks one question. If ordered to disappear for your work, would you? You know the answer before he finishes speaking. You were trained to know it. Yes. The lie comes out smoothly. That is why they choose you. Because talent matters, but obedience matters more. At 17, you are assigned to a unit that officially does not exist. The door closes behind you, your civilian life ends there, and tomorrow, you will meet the men who already know how your future ends. Level 3, the ascent. The first thing you notice is the noise. Not shouting, not gunfire, fans, hard drives, generators, the constant electrical breath of a room that never sleeps. You are now inside the machine. Rows of operators sit shoulder to shoulder beneath dim lights. Some monitor inboxes, some study financial networks, some write malware, some translate, some do not look up for hours. No medals on the wall, no heroic music, only clocks. Pyongyang, Beijing, Moscow, Singapore, London, time zones become weapons. You begin at the bottom. Credential harvesting, spear phishing drafts, fake resumes, fake company profiles, fake names attached to stolen faces. Your first success is small. 1 opened attachment, 1 infected laptop, 1 foothold inside a foreign network. But in this room, a foothold is a doorway. A doorway is a salary. A salary is praise. And praise is dangerous because it makes you want more. You are moved to more sensitive work: financial targeting, crypto infrastructure, exchange behavior, wallet security. The senior operator beside you tells you to think like water, never hit the wall, find the crack. You work 18-hour shifts during active operations, black tea, instant noodles, the blue light of the monitor burning behind your eyes. You stop thinking in days, only phases: reconnaissance, delivery, persistence, extraction, laundering. You hear whispers of larger groups, names outsiders will later learn, structures tied to military intelligence, subunits that steal, spy, extort, and vanish. Researchers and officials have long linked prominent DPRK cyber groups to the Reconnaissance General Bureau and to financially motivated operations. Sometimes you are told you are defending the nation. Sometimes you are told you are earning for it. You learn there is no difference in the eyes of the state. Then you are sent abroad. Not openly, never openly. A cramped apartment in a foreign city. Curtains always closed. 6 operators. 8 laptops. A router that must never fail. You can buy fruit here, real coffee. Meat without ration coupons. You can also disappear here, that is made very clear. Your family remains at home, that fact follows you more closely than any security officer. So you produce, you meet quotas, you outperform others, your access expands, your room gets larger, your handler starts speaking to you with something close to respect. You think you are rising, you are, but the higher you go, the more you can see. And the more you can see, the less you will ever sleep again. Level 4, the success. This is the operation that changes everything. It begins like most important things begin. Quietly, a target list, a briefing, a locked room. You are given a foreign company and a narrow window, 72 hours. The objective is simple to describe and nearly impossible to execute. Get inside, stay invisible, move value. Leave confusion behind. You help build the social engineering chain: trusted contact, routine message, urgent update, human weakness wrapped in ordinary language. It works. It always comes down to a human eventually. One approval becomes 2, one device becomes 3. Then suddenly the network opens like a cut artery. You watch transaction data move across the screen, wallets, keys, authorizations, amounts so large they stop feeling real. Not thousands, not millions, more. Your team does not cheer, they breathe differently, that is all. Because this is not victory yet. Victory is escape. Funds begin to move, then split, then scatter, layer after layer. Addresses branching into more addresses, chains crossing exchanges, money becoming missed. International investigators later tied North Korean operators to repeated cryptocurrency thefts worth billions in aggregate. And in February 2025, the FBI publicly attributed the $1.5 billion Bybit theft to North Korean actors known as Trader. For 16 straight hours, no one leaves the room. You do not stand, you barely blink. Your right hand cramps around the mouse. Someone vomits into a bin and keeps working. By dawn, the mission is complete. You have done what soldiers do with rockets using only deception, timing, and code. The reward comes fast. Better food, imported cigarettes for the officers, a watch for you, a handwritten note of approval, temporary permission to call home. Your mother cries when she hears your voice. Your father says you are serving honorably. Neither knows what you actually do. Neither is supposed to. You sit in the dark after the call and stare at the dead screen. You should feel powerful. You do feel powerful. That is the worst part, because success inside this world does not make you freer. It makes you more valuable. And valuable things are guarded closely. This is where everything changes, because 1 month later, another operator disappears after a failed assignment. No explanation, no farewell. His terminal is reassigned by noon. And for the first time, you understand the rule that governs your life. You are not elite, you are expendable with privileges, and now the cost begins to collect. Level 5, the cost. Pressure does not arrive all at once. It accumulates, one operation, then another, then another. There is always a new quota, always a more secure target, always a narrower margin for error. Your supervisors stop praising skill. They measure output. You begin to hear numbers in every conversation. Dollars extracted, credentials captured, access maintained, hours logged, failures tallied. You are 24 years old and already feel older than your father. Your back aches from the chair. Your eyes burn even when closed. You wake at night imagining login screens. You dream in passwords. And then comes the mistake. Small. Embarrassingly small. An operator on your team reuses infrastructure from a previous campaign. A trace appears, then an alert, then public reporting. Foreign investigators begin following the threads. A review is ordered. Everyone in your section is interrogated. No beatings at first. That would be too simple. Instead, you sit beneath a light for 9 hours while an officer asks the same question 12 different ways. Who noticed the exposure first? Who failed to report? Who hesitated? Who else has spoken carelessly? You understand the true architecture now. Not code, not servers. Fear. Fear is the system underneath the system. You are eventually cleared. Your teammate is not. He is removed before dawn. No one says his name again. That afternoon, you are assigned to help on another mission, as if nothing happened. This is how the machine heals. It does not mourn. It replaces. Reports and threat assessments have repeatedly described DPRK cyber activity as persistent, adaptive, and heavily tied to state priorities, including sanction evasion and strategic collection. You begin to notice other fractures: the lies in the patriotic language, the luxury goods reserved for a few. The fact that your work reaches across the world, but your own life remains smaller than the room you sleep in. You can infiltrate foreign corporations. You cannot choose where to live. You can move millions across borders. You cannot move yourself. You understand finally that power and freedom are not the same thing. This is your turning point, not during the triumph, not during the heist, but here, in a humming room, hands shaking over a keyboard, knowing your talent built your cage. And when the next assignment arrives, you obey anyway, because by now obedience is not belief, it is survival. Level 6, the reflection. Years pass strangely in this life. Not like a march, like a blur of windows that never open. You learn every stage of the work. Selection, training, insertion, the first breach, the first real money, the first investigation, the first disappearance, the first time you realize no success will ever let you leave. You once believed you had escaped hunger. In some ways you did. You eat better than the neighbors you left behind. You wear cleaner clothes. You handle foreign currency you will never spend freely. You sit closer to power than most people in your country ever will, and yet your life grows narrower. Every privilege is a leash. Every promotion is another locked door. The outside world knows your unit by labels: threat actor, state hacker, cyber operative, military intelligence proxy. But inside it never feels that grand. It feels like fluorescent light, dead air, cold noodles at midnight, a handler's voice, a screen full of stolen trust. You wonder how many strangers lost savings because of your work. How many engineers spent sleepless nights cleaning breaches you caused. How many headlines were written from rooms like yours. Recent investigations and public attributions have continued to connect North Korean operators to major thefts, espionage, and long-running efforts to generate revenue for the regime under sanctions. You are told history will remember loyalty. Maybe. But history also remembers systems that consume their own brightest minds. That is the truth no one told you when you were a boy solving equations in the cold. You were never being trained to rise. You were being trained to disappear into usefulness, to become a ghost with a keyboard, to fight wars no one announces, to win victories you can never celebrate, to live a life where your greatest weapon is your mind. And your mind is the one thing you do not truly own. So when people imagine power, they picture generals, parades, missiles crossing the sky. They do not picture you, a man in a dim room, 27 tabs open, shoulders bent, heart racing, waiting for a signal, waiting for a command, waiting for one more operation. And knowing deep down that the real prison was never the border. It was the moment your talent was seen,